The Raiders' receiver room is still a work in progress, and the fix might be a year away, but at least the name they are waiting on is worth waiting for. A veteran defensive tackle who could anchor this defense is being connected to Las Vegas by one of the sharpest analysts in the game. A former All-Pro cornerback with a turnover resume is drawing real interest from this front office. And the Cousins versus Mendoza debate just got a very direct answer from someone who has actually met the rookie. Raider Nation, let's get into it. 56 catches, 708 yards, and 5 touchdowns in 2 seasons at Auburn against inconsistent quarterback play. And the wide receiver who is already showing up in 2027 mock drafts as a Raiders target is Cam Coleman, who just transferred to Texas where he is going to catch passes from Arch Manning next season. ESPN's Jordan Reed projected the Raiders to select Coleman with the 5th overall pick in his way too early 2027 mock draft. And Fox Sports analyst Joel Klatt already has him on his top 10 2027 draft prospect list after calling him an ascending talent with the potential for a monster year in Austin. Now, before anyone gets too deep into 2027 projections, let's be honest about what this story is actually telling us. The Raiders skipping wide receiver early in the 2026 draft was a calculated decision, not an oversight. They had problems all over this roster, and they addressed the most urgent ones first. Defense, quarterback, offensive line depth, secondary. Wide receiver was always going to be the position they circled for next offseason if the current group did not step up and show enough in 2026 to change the conversation. And here is the part that is worth sitting with. There is actual talent in that receiver room right now. Jack Beck was a second-round pick last year and has not scratched the surface of what he can become. Dante Thornton is 6'5" and runs a 4.3 40. Trey Tucker is coming off a career year. Jalen Naylor is expected to play a much bigger role with an expanded target share. That is not a group you completely give up on after one season. But if none of those players emerge as a legitimate number 1 option by the end of 2026, John Spytek is going to come back to this draft with a very clear priority, and Coleman could be exactly the player this offense needs alongside Fernando Mendoza for the next decade. The foundation is being built the right way. Sometimes that means being patient at one position while you fix everything else around it. Coleman is the name to write down and watch all season long at Texas. The Raiders passed on defensive tackle in the draft when most people expected them to address it on day 2. And the veteran who keeps coming up as the logical answer to that decision is defensive tackle DJ Reader. And if you have been following this channel, you already know this name because we talked about him not long ago as a player who made too much sense for this defense to ignore. Now, Pro Football Focus analyst Bradley Locker has come out and said exactly what we said. Las Vegas is the clear landing spot that makes the most sense for the 31-year-old interior defender, and the conversation is picking back up with real force. Locker ranked Reader at number 21 on PFF's overall free agent board and pointed directly at the Raiders as his best fit, noting that Las Vegas is in major need of an interior defender after using their second-round pick on safety Traden Stukes instead of addressing the defensive tackle position the way many expected. That need has not gone away. If anything, it has become more urgent as this roster takes its final shape heading toward training camp. Reader is not the player he was during his incredible run from 2021 to 2023, and nobody is pretending otherwise. But his numbers last season still hold up. A 72.6 PFF pass rush grade and a 10.5% pass rush win rate that ranked 27th among qualified players at the position. That is a quality starter contributing at a high level, not a declining veteran collecting a paycheck on reputation alone. For a defense that is asking Maxx Crosby to carry an enormous load every single week, adding a proven interior presence who commands attention and disrupts blocking schemes from the inside is exactly the move that makes this entire defensive front more dangerous. When Reader is demanding double teams in the middle, Crosby gets cleaner looks on the outside, Kwity Paye gets cleaner looks on the other side, and the entire pass rush becomes exponentially more effective because offensive coordinators simply cannot account for everyone. The one legitimate complication is that Reader at 31 might prefer chasing a championship with a contender over signing with a team in transition. That is a fair concern. But Maxx Crosby, a credible new coaching staff, and a #1 overall pick who could accelerate this timeline faster than anyone expects is a pitch worth hearing. We said it before, and the league is catching up. This move makes too much sense not to happen. The receiver room might not get its true #1 until 2027, and the defensive tackle need we flagged weeks ago is still unresolved, with DJ Reader sitting right there as the most logical answer. Two sides of the ball, two conversations without a clear resolution yet. Raider Nation, I need your take. Which move do you want first? Go get Reader and complete this defensive line, or find a veteran receiver who can help Mendoza right now? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe if you are locked in with the silver and black this season, because the cornerback conversation just got a very interesting name thrown into the mix. The secondary still needs experience, and the name that just landed in the conversation as a real possibility for this roster is cornerback Trevon Diggs. And before anyone brings up the Washington Commanders as competition, yes, Dan Quinn has a connection to Diggs from their time together in Dallas, and Washington is expected to show interest. But that situation is theirs to figure out. What matters for Raider Nation right now is what a player like Diggs could bring to a secondary that is young, athletic, and loaded with upside, but genuinely lacking in proven veteran leadership on the outside. Bleacher Report analyst Timothy Rapp said flat out that the Raiders need depth and experience in the secondary after the draft, and that Diggs could offer a more flexible role in Las Vegas. A low-risk move with real potential upside. That framing is exactly right. Nobody is talking about Trevon Diggs as the same player who recorded 11 interceptions and 21 pass breakups in 2021 to earn first-team All-Pro honors. That version of Diggs was one of the most disruptive cornerbacks in the entire league, and the torn ACL he suffered in September 2023 changed his trajectory in ways that are impossible to ignore. He returned in 2024 and played 11 games, finishing with 42 tackles, 11 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. Numbers that showed he could still contribute even if the elite level was behind him. Then 2025 was harder. Limited appearances split between Dallas and Green Bay, 0 interceptions, struggles in coverage, and both teams moving on. That is the honest truth about where Diggs is right now as a player. But here's what this comes down to for the Raiders specifically. Jermod McCoy is recovering from a torn ACL and might need time before he is fully ready to handle a full workload. The rest of this secondary is almost entirely young players who have never played a meaningful NFL snap. Trevon Diggs walking into that cornerback room as a 20-interception career veteran who has played at the highest level in this league is not nothing. He does not have to be great. He has to be experienced, professional, and capable of making plays when the ball comes his way. At the right price on a short-term deal, the Raiders should absolutely be in this conversation. We feel this one in our chest. Every single one of us knows this secondary needs a proven voice out there on the perimeter while the young guys find their footing. 37 years old, 76.0 overall PFF grade last season with Atlanta, and the verdict on who starts Week 1 for this franchise is becoming clearer by the day. And CBS sports analyst Nate Burleson said what a lot of people around this league are already thinking. Kirk Cousins is going to start Week 1 for the Las Vegas Raiders, and Fernando Mendoza is not going to beat him out right now. Burleson put it as directly as anyone could. Kirk is going to have to fumble that opportunity away. That is not a knock on Mendoza. That is an honest assessment of what veteran quarterback experience means in a system as detailed and demanding as Clint Kubiak's offense. You do not pay a veteran quarterback the kind of money the Raiders gave Cousins just to have him stand on the sideline holding a clipboard while a rookie figures things out under fire. That money comes with an expectation of playing time, and Burleson is right to acknowledge that reality directly. Now, here is what makes this situation genuinely fascinating rather than frustrating. Burleson has actually met Mendoza in person, and he made it very clear that the rookie left a serious impression. He said Mendoza's focus and the way he looks at the game are different from any other young quarterback he has encountered. That is coming from someone who has been around this league for a long time and has seen plenty of highly touted rookies come through with all the hype and none of the substance. Mendoza is already studying film of Cousins running this exact offense in Minnesota. He is breaking down footwork, eye discipline, play execution, treating every day in that building as an opportunity to close the gap between where he is right now and where he needs to be when his moment arrives. and that moment is coming. Cousins at 37 is not a 10-year solution. He is a bridge built specifically to protect Mendoza from being thrown into situations before he is ready to handle them. The Raiders made this decision with clear eyes and a clear plan. Every single one of us in Raider Nation needs to trust that process, even when the impatience kicks in on a Sunday afternoon. Mendoza is the future of this franchise. Cousins is the reason that future arrives on solid ground instead of in pieces. This week showed exactly where this franchise is headed. A receiver who could be Mendoza's long-term number one is already on the draft radar for next year. A veteran defensive tackle who makes this front more dangerous is still available, and the conversation just got louder. A former All-Pro cornerback with a turnover resume is drawing real interest from a secondary that needs his experience. And the quarterback situation has a clear answer for Week 1, even if the future belongs to someone else. Every piece is moving in the right direction. Drop your take in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who is part of Raider Nation. Tomorrow we have more.